I don't have a microphone, that's okay, I have a teacher voice. My name is Douglas Beta. I conduct the Akron Youth Philharmonic. This has been a great group of young people to work with this year. It's nice to have gotten back to a more full instrumentation in the winds and a stronger section in the strings. Our first piece is by Richard Wagner. It is March of the Meister Singers. I'm sure you probably recognize bits and pieces of it. Thank you. Our next piece is a piece by Maurice Ravel, who's a French impressionistic composer composing in the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is actually originally a piano piece. Translation is it's a minuet, which is a dance on the name of Haydn. And so he took the name of Haydn, H-A-Y-D-N, and composed the initial melodic material. Those of you who are musicians know we use A, B, C, D, E, F, and G for our letters. Well, in Germany, Poland, and Russia, some places they actually use B as a B flat and H as a B natural. So that's how they were able to do that. So he has the melody as a B, A, and then D, D, G for Haydn, H-A-Y-D-N. You just have to go with it. Okay? That's what he used to compose it. And so the first violins have the melody initially, and they're going to play those first 5 notes for us. First violin. First violin. 1, 2. And then he does something funny, and he actually reverses the letters, and that pops up later on with the trumpets. Here we go. Trumpets 19. With me. So same melody, just backwards. Ready? And. So those are the two melodic elements that you can listen for. It's a short piece, it's a beautiful piece, and we hope you enjoy it. I just offered a microphone. I think you can hear me, I hope. Our third piece is Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet Overture. He wrote this when he was about 28 years old. Tells the same tale of Romeo and Juliet that Shakespeare wrote about. We have an initial sort of solemn theme. We have the more raucous theme, which is the Montague and the Capulets fighting. And then we have the famous love theme, which I'm sure you will recognize, and then a very solemn, somber ending, as most of you know, the ending of Romeo and Juliet. So, here we go. apologize. We got off, and we're going to do it again because they're going to watch a little bit better, because if we were off at the beginning here, it's not going to get any better. So, not an excuse, but we didn't have Tuesday's rehearsal, so it's been almost 2 weeks since I've seen them, besides the dress. So we're going to try this one more time, but we're just going to start at the Montague and the Capulets. Okay? 29. You guys got a little bit of head back there. It's okay. It's all good. Here we go. 29. Ready? myself a very good musician. I want to consider myself first an educator, and I always think it's best for the students to be shown at their best, and if that meant I had to stop and restart, I think that is better than going on and just having it being a mess. So thank you for your patience. You know, young people need to learn that life always doesn't go as planned, and you need to figure out how to fix it, and sometimes you just need to regroup. And when you do that, sometimes it just works out just fine, and I think it did. Our final piece is from the opera La Gioconda by Ponchielli. He's an Italian composer living in the last half of the 1800s. Think of Puccini and Verdi, those types of operas. You will recognize this tune, especially if you are of a certain age. It was used by Walt Disney in his 1940 version of Fantasia. It's the one with the dancing ostriches, hippopotamus, alligators, and so forth. You will probably go out singing this in your head, and I'm sorry if it sticks with you for a little longer. You'll see what I mean in a minute. They're doing a really good job. Maybe enjoy this piece. Dance of the Hours.
the name of the song? Okay. I can't hear you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. What's the name of the tune? Ariane? Ariane. Thank you. Great, great. Good afternoon. I was just getting a lesson in from one of my students about the original song that this first piece that we're going to play for you is based on. The variations on a Korean folk song. The song is famous. It's Arirang, roughly pronounced that way anyway. It's a lovely, lovely melody. And now I first became familiar with this piece back when I played played euphonium in band in high school. And this piece is a band classic, the variations on a Korean folk song by John Barnes Chance. He was well known in music education fields, composing some masterpieces for band. I was delighted when I happened to come across in a catalog not so long ago that somebody had made an orchestra arrangement version of this marvelous piece. There are about 5 variations. Some stop, the early ones stop, and then we start again for the second variation and so on after the theme. And then they go in sequence one after another. It's a very imaginative, kind of jazzy arrangement or working with this famous melody. So here we go, the variations on a Korean folk song. Glad to be able to play it for you this afternoon. We like to practice. It's not a concert till you show up. So thanks for being here. All set? Good. Read with me. Mozart, right? Great. Little musical chairs for Mozart today. Tomorrow is Mozart's birthday. I know you've all been working up to making plans for the holiday, right? Making your purchases for the Mozart birthday celebration. What is it, 269? Is that what 269 birthday? He was born in 1756. You do the math. Back in the fall, some of you will remember we played the first movement of Mozart's last symphony, the Jupiter Symphony. By the way, he didn't call it the Jupiter Symphony. For him, it was Symphony number 41 in C major, and that should have been enough. But somebody came along. Well, for one thing, it's a much bigger piece than other symphonies prior to had been. Mozart died in 1791. Beethoven had just arrived in Vienna. And I keep wondering what would have happened if the two of them had lived in Vienna for a while longer, even if Mozart had lived the average lifespan, say into his 50s or maybe 60 back then. As it was, he died when he was 35 or 36 years old. But I keep wondering what would have happened if Mozart and Beethoven had been composing in Vienna, late 1790s into early 1800s, and Mozart would have heard the Eroica Symphony, the Third Symphony, or the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, and would have said, Beethoven, nice, very nice indeed, yeah. Party? No thanks, I gotta go home and write a symphony that's gonna make yours sound like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But he shows us what he can do, well, all of his symphonies do. They're combinations of elegance and sophistication. And this last movement of the Jupiter Symphony, we've been working on, well, we read it for a while in the fall, and then we came back to it just before, I think, back in December. And I've been delighted that we've just been able to focus on just this movement because Mozart is playing four-dimensional chess with this piece. You've got everything that we expect of Mozart, elegance and sophistication, charm, even a little wit. And then, on top of that, you've got fantastically complex counterpoint, all kinds of things happening, melodies going against each other. It's a fugue, and not a fugue, which you know is a fancy round. Melody starts, that part keeps going while the melody pops up over here, and then the melody pops up over there, and they're jumping around and chasing each other. The word fugue means flight or chase. And then, but that's not enough. For the same low price, he gives you a double fugue. He gives you two melodies happening at the same time. And it's fantastic complexity and coming at the end of his life. Of course, he wrote this in the 1780s, and as I say, he died only a few years after the composition of this symphony. He went on to compose other pieces before that stopped. But anyway, this piece is a masterpiece, and I'm delighted that we've been able to just focus on this last movement that contains so much. It's a thrilling piece to work on, and I'm glad that we've been able to share it with the kids. We're going to share it with you now after I shut up. Let's do an A, though, one more, just a general A, okay? Hang on for a second. Oop.
1 second.
That's right. Everybody make noise. Great. Clarinets while the strings are tuning. Would you come on down and join the viola section, please? Okay. Great. Good. One more A through. Much longer than you think you need to testing, okay? Trombones don't play well. So, for so many reasons, somebody decided to name that piece the Jupiter Symphony, and that's just, of course, the last movement of it. So if you haven't heard it recently, go find it, but I'm glad we could share it with you today. I got to say, I'm really quite moved. For one thing, conducting that piece, you have to be an octopus. He's got so many things going on at once that trying to be responsible to help everybody through. But you know what? They rehearsed very well. I'm a little out of breath, but usually I look like I need hospitalization. I made sure at the end of one rehearsal that Orzella knew where the defibrillator is. But here's the thing, you guys. I didn't have to work as hard. You played brilliantly. Thank you so much. So this is one of the things that a youth orchestra, that school music programs can do, is put the handiwork of a master, one of the great minds of culture, and put it in the hands of kids to make. We could do music appreciation classes. I could play that place for them. I could describe a double fugue. It's where one instrument comes in after the other as the audience leaves one after the other. So, but I could do that, but putting it in their hands and rehearsing it and playing it, and I think you're all, next time you get an opportunity to even hear the Jupiter Symphony, you'll give it a little bit of a listen, I suspect, just because you know what the magic is that happens in a piece like that. I also, so that's the beauty of youth orchestras, of youth choirs, of bands, of school music programs, such as we have here at Talmadge. I'm very impressed with what I see, even when I walk into the rooms and see the signs of activity and people obviously making music. And we're very grateful to Talmadge High School that we get to come and do it here, by the way. And my colleague, Douglas Beta, and the remarkable job he does, I know, in his own school program, but also with the Akron Youth Philharmonic, to fill it up with those numbers and go for that quality literature. You do know he orchestrated that Ravel piece, do you not? Did you look at it? Right. So, Mr. Beta, where are you? Doug? I happen to know we did another one of his arrangements of orchestrations of a Debussy piano piece, and it was beautifully done. And the Akron Public Schools does not pay you more for doing that. He did it for love, you know. He did it because he saw an opportunity, especially for, I think, a youth orchestra to play that music, and that very intriguing piece. I've always known it as a piece in a catalog. I've never heard it, the piece based on Haydn's name. But so congratulations, Doug, for bringing that to your group and for teaching it to them. It was very, very beautifully done. And then talk about numbers. Look at the size of that Akron Youth Philharmonic. Congratulations to all of you kids who took advantage of the opportunity to work with Mr. Beta and to make music like that. Terrific. I look forward to seeing more of you later on. Right. All right, we're going to finish off our afternoon with a wonderful classic. Johann Strauss Jr., of course, famous as the Waltz King, providing music for the dance culture that was social dancing in 19th century Vienna, where hearts beat in 3/4 time, right? And but he wrote an operetta called The Bat. The Bat. It's about so it's sort of a cosplay thing. You go look up the plot. It's really kind of cute, involving a New Year's Eve party and mistaken identity because people are in masks, and it all ends happily. But it's fronted. The whole story is fronted with this wonderful overture, which is it's sort of a tour through the wonderful tunes that are in the operetta, The Bat, otherwise known, of course, as Die Fledermaus, the flying mouse, the bat. So here we go. Here's our finish for the afternoon. We'll all be joined together for refreshments out there, and I look forward to talking with you and enjoying what you liked about this program particularly. But here we go. Here's the Fledermaus overture. Right. Thank you.